Hola mis estudiantes. It's that time again for us to do a set of flip notes. So today we're going to be focusing on el presente, or the present tense. So make sure that you've got your notes in front of you, and we are going to focus on just regular verbs and stem changing verbs today. So without further ado, let's get started. So think about how we use the present tense in English. We use the present tense, hint hint, the present, to talk about what's going on either in the now or in the very near future. So, for example, I could say, I talk. Do I talk, or do I talk? Or I am talking, for example, like I am talking to the student on Wednesday after school because I got in trouble. Just kidding. So anyway, so that's how we use the present tense, or that's how the present tense could translate into English from Spanish. So let's talk about first our regular verb endings. Now we know that we've got three types of verbs in Spanish, and here are their endings. So we know who it is that we're talking about, and we know that we're using the present tense. So we've got our air verbs, o, as, a, amos, ais, and an. Notice in the vosotros conjugation, there's an accent over the a. We've got our ER conjugation, o, es, e, amos, es, and in. And we've got an accent over the E in the vosotros because it's an ER conjugation. And then finally our IR verbs, o, es, e, imos, is, and in. Notice that there are some patterns, and that all three of them have the an O in the yo form conjugation. And notice that the ER and IR conjugations are very similar except the nosotros and vosotros. Alright, so then what are our steps to conjugating? And this isn't just the present tense, this is in all tenses. So first of all, you're going to drop that AR, ER, or IR ending, and you're left with what we call the verb stem. So for example, we've got escribir, and we're going to drop that IR ending. So then we're going to choose the correct ending that corresponds with the subject. Let's use he, for example. So then we're going to choose the E, or E. And then finally we're going to add that ending to the verb stem. So escribe. So the word escribe in Spanish could mean that he writes, like he is writing his paper tomorrow, or he does write, or if you're going to ask a question, does he write? And that's it. So here are some examples of just some conjugation charts. Again, if you're comfortable with our conjugations, then I don't think it's necessary for you to write this down. So I'm giving you a pass if you don't feel like it's necessary to have these in your notes. So here's an opportunity for you to practice. So I want you to go ahead and hit pause once I get through these 6, and then I want you to write down those conjugations. Please make sure that you're hitting pause and you're practicing so you can process through and make sure that you're comfortable with those conjugations. Ready, go. Okay, let's see how you did. Ella escuchar should be escucha. Tú mirar should be miras. Nosotros leer, leemos. Ustedes comer should be comen. Yo escribir should be escribo. And vosotros salir should be salís. Make sure you've got an accent on that last one. I would also take a moment to process through what those words mean in English. What is escucha? What is comen? What does that mean in English? Alright, so that's a quick review of the present tense. So now let's go to our stem changing verbs. Now, same thing as far as our conjugation steps. We're just going to add kind of another step to it. So we're first going to drop that AR, ER, or IR ending. And then we're left with our verb stem. And then we're going to move whatever stem changing vowel it is. In this case, recordar is an O to UE stem changer, so we're going to drop that O. And then we're going to add whatever the stem changing vowel or vowels are. In this case, like I said, recordar is an O to UE stem changer, therefore we're going to add that UE in the middle. And then finally, we're going to add that correct verb ending. So for example, if we want to go in the yo form, then we're going to add an o. So yo recuerdo. Please note that our stem changers do not have a stem change in the nosotros nor the vosotros form. That stays regular. So just like we would conjugate regularly. And remember, so those stem changes, sometimes we call these boot verbs. That helps us remember that there's stem change in the boot. Now, one of the things that's difficult, before I continue on, is that we have no way of really knowing if a verb is a stem changer other than to memorize it. So you are going to get a list of common stem changing verbs. Make sure that you become comfortable with that list. So here's an example of an E to IE stem changer for our verb querer. Since it's an E to IE stem changer, then we are going to have that spelling change in the boot. Another type of stem change is E to I, for example, pedir. So there's our stem change. Another type of stem change is O to UE, which we saw in our example, recordar. Again, notice that we don't have a stem change in the nosotros and vosotros forms. And then finally, our last type of stem change is U to UE, which is our verb jugar. And that U, like I said, changes to a UE. So we have 4 types of stem changers. Make sure that you're comfortable with those 4. O to UE, U to UE, E to IE, and E to I. So here's an opportunity for you to practice. I think we've got another 6. So in this case, I was really nice and I went ahead and gave you what type of stem changer those verbs are. But again, it is my expectation that you are working on memorizing the list of common stem changing verbs. So go ahead and hit pause, conjugate those verbs, and we'll check your answers here shortly. All right, here we go. Número 1 should be entiende, pienso, duermen, puedes, servís, and repetimos. So those are your notes. Please make sure that you jot down any questions that you have. Being able to conjugate is one of the very basic kind of foundational pieces of learning a language. So we will continue to practice when you come into class. Gracias. Adios.